Good morning. This is my final journal reflection assignment. I'm just going to jump right in. Question number one: what theory or concept did you find most interesting, and how did or how will you apply it to an interpersonal relationship? I think that social comparison theory was probably my favorite just because it brought awareness to the fact that like literally every human does this. They compare themselves to others to see how they measure up, and skills, relationships, personal traits, things like that. And to just be really aware that we should never be comparing ourselves to others because we don't really know what's going on in other people's lives, and what we see on the outside is not necessarily the accurate representation of them. Um, Also, just like I think that in any relationship, like a friendship or a romantic relationship, like we should never be comparing ourselves to other people's friends or other people's like past partners. Um, it really just like sucks some of the joy out of the relationship that we have because we're constantly trying to measure up or compare ourselves or be better than someone that's not a part of the situation anymore, and it's just pointless. So, yeah, social comparison theory. Three concepts and skills that I really loved and will take away from this course. I definitely learned about like more active listening and being a participant. Um, when someone's communicating with me, like I learned more about not just listening and not tuning someone out, but how to respond and how to ask questions about what the person's talking about. Um, which in turn just makes you a better listener and a communicator because you have all the correct information. Um, Empathy was a big one. I think that after meeting everybody in class and like we all opened up so much in such a short period of time, that it really showed me that everyone's different and everyone has a different like life experience, and that it's all valid and it's all great to hear about because it gives you so much perspective in life. So empathy is a good one. And then just being aware of like self-fulfilling prophecies and how easy it is to manifest like what we think of ourselves into reality. Like our self-concept is not necessarily what everyone else sees. And it's important to remember that. Yeah. Okay. What do I think I can improve in my relationships now that I have an understanding of various interpersonal concepts? So I think that listening is a big one, like I mentioned. I think that that's probably the most important part of communication that a lot of people miss is listening. It's not just receiving the information, but understanding and like acknowledging and making sure, like confirming that you're understanding correctly. Um, yeah, I think that that is probably one of the most important things that I will take away from this class, and being able to identify like when I am comparing myself to others and when I have like a skewed self concept, so that I can kind of like stay grounded and stay who I am. Did I meet my goals for this class in the semester? I did. I think that I went into it with like realistic goals, like just doing well in the class. Um, Getting through the semester, I ended up dropping a class. It was kind of it was a time of self discovery for me, which was kind of interesting. It was only 8 week period, but during this 8 weeks, I totally figured some things out and made some choices about like what I want to do after this semester going forward. Um, I think I'm doing well in the class. And I think that I made some fun connections that, even though I might not ever talk to these people that were in class with me again, it was great to connect with them in this setting, in this class for this time. So I think that even though I've made decisions about like my future at Aloni and my future in academia, I think that overall it was a win for me. So yeah. um, if I were to take this course again, what would I do differently? Similarly, if I were to take this course again, what would I like to see improved? So I think that if I were to take this course again, I would want to take it not during a pandemic so that I could actually be in class. I've learned that I do not enjoy virtual school. It's much better for me to actually be in class. I just learn a little bit better. I like to feel people's energy too. And I think some of the discussions we've had in class would have been better had like in person. Um, so, yeah, that's kind of what I would have done differently. I would have just waited until school was back in session, like in person, um, to attempt to take a class, especially when that's like this. That's kind of like, it ends up being sort of reflective and like you meet cool people and you share experiences. What would I like to see improved? Again, I've never taken a class from you, Dr. Massimo, in person, so I don't know if it would be different than it is in virtual class. I probably think it will be, or it would be. So I think that overall, just it's not that I'm unhappy or dissatisfied with my experience. I just think that for me personally, being in a classroom is much more important than just like digesting information uh, via Zoom and like kind of, just submitting and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. It's just different to kind of be in class. Why did I take the 8-week instead of the 16-week course? After having taken the class, would I recommend or still take the 8-week class, or would I take the 16-week? So I didn't really realize what I was doing when I registered for classes. I totally didn't, like, it kind of glazed over me the fact that it was only an 8-week class, which kind of ended up being amazing because I work in retail at a grocery store, and being in school during the holidays sort of sucks. So I think that it worked out in my favor to take the 8-week class because we're ending like right before the Thanksgiving season starts. And I enjoyed it. But again, I think the 8-week course was fine for like the virtual Zoom setting. Assignments were completed and submitted on our own time. It was a little bit condensed, but honestly, 8 weeks didn't seem like it was too fast paced for me. Like it seemed fine. So the 8-week class was cool. No regrets on taking the 8-week as opposed to the 16-week class. Okay, let's see. What is one tip I would give a future student? I would say just make connections with your classmates. Take their experiences and just really listen and absorb. And I would say actively try to apply a lot of the concepts that we talk about in class, like to real life. Because it's not like a physics class where the concepts are so abstract that you couldn't possibly ever apply it to your real life. Like this is real life information. We do communicate with people on a daily basis. So it is important to take the concepts and put it into action. I would also just advise students to maybe read more than I did. I definitely looked at my book, but I could have done more. Especially since I'm not really a good test taker, like, yeah, I don't love taking tests, and I kind of just get a little bit confused by questions in a test format. So I think if I would have read a little bit more diligently, it would have helped me. Overall, my biggest takeaway from the course, I really loved connecting with people. And Dr. Massimo, you're awesome. You're a great teacher. You're super passionate about this subject and what it is that you can offer students. And you really want us to take away and apply to our real lives. So I super appreciate that about you. Biggest takeaway would just be, one, I learned that I am not interested in Zoom classes at all. And if I'm going to be in school, I have to be in a classroom setting. It's just the way for me. But also listening is like a huge part of communication, and being able to kind of listen and get through the information and ask questions if you don't understand. And also just like not being so hard on people, because we're all going through stuff and we all have a different self-concept, and not everybody is like super sure about who they are. So just learning that it's okay to feel that way and that we're all kind of on a journey to figure it out was also very cool and important. Um, yeah, overall, it was a really positive experience, and I did enjoy the class, and I am kind of bummed that it's over, but um, I'm totally also ready to move on because I'm about to have a crazy holiday season at work. So, yeah, thank you for everything.